Happy Saturdays, lovies. I am so excited to be back for another episode of Adjust and Adapt. We took a little break last week, but we are back with a force and with someone who is absolutely amazing, a local business owner who I have followed pretty much since the start. And I'm super excited for what the changes are that he has ahead in his business and everywhere that he's going. So I am not going to delay on the introductions. If this is your first time here, I will give you a quick, brief synopsis, yes, that's the word, of what today is. So basically, Adjust and Adapt is a small business spotlight. It used to be pretty much focusing in on how businesses have adjusted and adapted in the face of COVID, but it has kind of evolved into more. We still focus on that and the changes they've made, but we also focus on basically their growth and anything that they're doing that's kind of amazing in their business. And that brings us to Dalton Carter. He is the owner of Hollywood Java, which is an amazing coffee pop-up shop and more as of now, which is what he's going to tell us about. So we're going to bring him on screen.
Hey, y'all. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So I have told them just a teeny bit about you, which is basically name and business. But why don't you start off by telling us what Hollywood Java actually is?
Why, thank you. Yeah, as you were talking, I was like, wait, who's she talking about? Let's talk about me. Oh, so Hollywood Java, man, it's
let's start with the name.
Hollywood, yeah, Hollywood Java. So a lot of people ask me about the name. We get, being where we're at, we get a lot of people from all over the world, not even just the country. So I get a lot of people ask me, like, are you from California or from Hollywood? People just naturally assume that, which is, it's easy to assume that. But Hollywood was a name that was given to me when I was in the Army. I was in Iraq, and it was during the time where we were coming from Kuwait and coming into Iraq. And there was a news crew on the side of the road, like at one of the stops that we had, and they were actually broadcasting live, so you could like tell your family, hello. I don't know. I don't even know if they still do that, where like during the holidays, soldiers that are deployed, they'll say hello to their family. It wasn't a holiday or anything like that, but they were still letting us kind of say hello. So it was like a big group of us. And there was a sergeant major there who wasn't my sergeant major, but when he saw me get off the truck, I was all geared up like a G.I. Joe doll, with all the accessories, because, we had been traveling through sandstorms. So, I had neck gaiters and motorcycle goggles on. I had the full kit on. And so when he saw me, he called me Hollywood. And my first sergeant was walking with me, and he heard it, and he just kind of bust out laughing. So it kind of became like an inside joke between me and my first sergeant. And he would call me Hollywood. So that's fast forward. And, I get out of the Army. I became a filmmaker years later. And so, I remembered that name that was given to me. And so I wanted something, that was kind of special, some kind of special name that had some meaning to it. And it really kind of made sense, and it fit. So Hollywood Java became the name.
I love it. And I think I shared with you that it's kind of funny because my husband's nickname is Hollywood too.
That's so cool.
For like a whole different, I don't know if he got it. I think he got it pre-Army, but just like he's always got like his own kind of swagger type thing. So his nickname is Hollywood too. And I thought that was hilarious that it was a nickname type situation. Because honestly, when I first saw it, I thought it was like, okay, like I thought it was connected to your film background. I didn't
it is to a certain degree. Yeah.
So it's cool because the best nicknames are the ones that cover like every part of you. So I think it fits perfectly.
Right. And it's and it definitely fits because it's like I said, I wanted it to be something meaningful. And so, being a filmmaker, that's the other part of our business. That is really kind of like an ongoing thing. We want to hire other filmmakers, and not only that, we hugely support the indie film circuit. So we want to do film screenings in the future, and actually set up on film production sets to offer crafty. And if you don't know what crafty is, I can get into that a little bit
I was
later.
about to say, is that the craft table that
You know exactly what
okay,
crafty is.
so that's
Tiffany.
the craft table where you get to say like, I want all
Yes.
red M&Ms and 2 blue ones or something like that, right?
Yes. You would be all about the craft services. I'm telling you.
Would I now?
I
Okay,
already know.
so now that you've gone there, let's see, what do you think would have to be a must-have on my craft table?
Oh my goodness. I don't think they make any pink M&Ms, so that wouldn't make it. I don't know. I don't know that there's anything that you discriminate against when it comes to food.
Not
So
really.
that's a tough one.
I
And you,
know.
and if you're like me, I'm sure you have a sweet tooth, so
Mm-hmm.
it had to be something candy related or cookie related.
Okay, so I'm gonna help you out. I'm like a cake type person.
You like
So I
cake.
would have like some kind of muffin or cake or some kind of
Okay.
pastry.
Yeah.
Um,
You can usually find those on the crafty table.
see, definitely coffee is a must, obviously.
Mhm.
Let me see. I do discriminate on food when it comes to texture. I can't do like slimy type. Like if it has a
No
weird
oysters for you, huh?
no, if it has a weird consistency, for example, I can't do like shrimp scampi, but I can do fried shrimp without a
Okay.
problem. So like, yeah,
Okay.
I have a whole texture situation, but that's funny because yeah, I had a clue of what the craft table was, but I wasn't positive. But I would definitely ask for Hollywood Java to be in my craft table for sure. That would be
Yeah.
in my little disclosure claim thing from my contract. Um,
Yeah.
but I do want to ask about, so okay, we have Hollywood Java. How did you go? How did you even get into coffee? We know you were in the army. We know you have a film background, which is in itself stinking amazing because I've seen what you've produced and I've also been on the other side of your camera. So I know you're awesome there. But how did you transition from that? Well, not even transition because you've just added another level to what you do. But how
Mhm.
did coffee become a part of everything?
That's a great question. So it's kind of a two-part answer. The first the first part I want to focus on just kind of like the business side of things. In addition to being a filmmaker, I'm also a photographer. I was in photography first, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember years ago I took a workshop with the husband and wife couple that's really successful photographers, and I really learned more just from having conversations with them. And I remember talking with the husband, and they were kind of in a transition. They were wedding photographers, and I remember he said, he was in the process of trying to develop other products for their business because for them, either they were taking pictures of weddings or they were doing workshops. And they were, I can't remember if they had kids at the time, but they were thinking about a family. They were, young. Um, so he said something that really kind of struck a nerve with me. He said, if I'm not taking pictures, then I'm not making money, and as far
Mm-hmm.
as if they're not doing workshops, they're not making money. And workshops were really good for them, but you can only do so many workshops within a year. Plus they travel extensively. So I mean, even from a successful standpoint, you can only do so much of that if you're the only one doing it, if you're the technician. So
Mm-hmm.
that was like a nugget that he dropped on me that always stuck out to me as a photographer, and just a creative, as a whole, because it's like basically if you're not snapping a shutter or creating whatever that is you're doing for money, if you're doing it as a business, then you're not making money. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the business part of it. And so it wasn't that coffee was something I had sought out to become a business. Coffee is something that, it kind of found me in a sense because I've always loved to drink coffee, but I was never good at making it. I was I
I
was the
find
guy,
that hard to believe.
yeah. I was the guy that like I had to take a just a drip brewer and make I was about to say 10 pounds, a 10 cup, kettle, I don't even know what you call it anymore, just to just to make one cup, I'd have to make a whole pot. That's what it is. I'd have to make
Got
a
you.
whole pot just to have one cup of coffee. And so then the rest would just get dumped down the drain. And I'm like, this is kind of a stupid way to make coffee. But talking to my friends, they make it the exact same way. So it's like, it's just what you do. You know, you want 1 or 2 cups of coffee, but who knows how to make 1 cup of coffee in the Mr. Coffee pot, you know?
Yeah. So obviously this was pre-Keurig.
Yeah, it was. And matter of fact, the Keurig it was kind of new on the scene, and it was like I don't even remember how much they cost, but it was one of those things. It's kind of
Crazy expensive.
like the Blu-ray player when it first came out. You know,
Mhm.
only the elite had it, right? Can
You
you
had to be
imagine?
real special to get that.
Right. So at the time, I was a IT guy on post, so I used to go in the offices, and you know, the government people they love their toys, so they had the Keurigs in their office, and I was like, that is really cool. And so I would go and, you know, go to their office, make coffee sometimes. I'm like, I told Patrice, my wife, I said, I got to get me one of those Keurig coffee makers. And so I convinced her, you know, finally got one, loved it. But then I got, you know, for most people that probably have a Keurig, unless they're kind of like still loving it, you go through that period of I love it, and then I don't really like it that much. Now I hate it, you know. So that's kind of like what happened to me.
So you fell out of love with the Keurig?
I did, and what made me fall out of love with it was actually finding some really good coffee.
That's what I was gonna say. Because honestly, the first time I had your pour over brew, and then the next day I came home to my K cup and I was just like, man, this is just not.
Yeah, I ruined a lot of people's lives, let me tell you. And I'm
I
not
was like,
mad
I
about
need
it.
to get my life and learn how to do that whole process because this is not the same. So that I want to touch on now. So like that's how you got to coffee, but like you didn't just learn how to make more than a pot. You didn't learn how to just make 1 cup at a time. You went like all in when it came to coffee. Like you know the ins and outs of it. So how did you get that? And like how did you even find that knowledge? I mean, I know it's more than Google. So like what did you do?
So and this is gonna be part of the journey that I want to take people on as well. Um when I start doing like coffee tours, you know, one of the first places I want to start with is where it all started for me. So it happened at a place in Chapel Hill called Cafe Driatti, which it just so happens to be is owned by my roaster, Scott Connery, who owns Carborough Coffee Roasters. They're one and the same. One is a coffee shop and one is a roastery.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't remember how I'll express my interest in something, and Patrice will kind of, you know, catch a hold of it, and she'll go out, you know, or something, you know, she'll find something that will meet the interest that I may have expressed. So she found some coffee classes at the Cafe Driatti was it was either Cafe Driatti or Carborough where they were advertising, and she sent me, you know, the newsletter and everything. And so I signed up. I can't even remember what my first class was. Um, Now, just to back up before that, I had taken an actual barista class at Counterculture also, but after that, I believe I took the rest of my classes at Carborough Coffee Roasters. So, in the classes, you know, they were simple in nature in the sense of like one was just a cupping class or a coffee tasting class. So we tasted a bunch of different coffees, talked about the region, talked about what you should taste. And really, I got to really experience what a true good cup of coffee should taste like, you know, as opposed to something that's been cooking all day on a burner, you know, which is, you know, what you can be used to depending on, you know, where you might go get your coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, you know, the interest just kind of got bigger and bigger. Like I literally took one class just on milk alone. Um, and I tell people people's eyes light up when I talk about the milk because they don't realize how important the milk is when it comes to like milk drinks and lattes and whatnot. And I always tell them like the milk is like the rice is to sushi. It's all about the
Yeah.
rice. It's not about the fish, you know. And I learned that from watching a bunch of food documentaries. Um, but yeah, so I mean, everything is really once I started learning, you know, because you know, like some people, I would give like baristas a hard time. In my mind, I wouldn't like, you know, like tell them, you know, but in my mind, I'm giving them a hard time, like, oh, you know, this coffee is horrible. But after I started learning how many variables there is into making a good cup of coffee, it's easy to mess up coffee. You know, after I started learning more and more, I started kind of giving people a break in my mind, you know, when I go to coffee shops. So, but it also, you know, helped me to learn what to look for because I love, even though I own a coffee business, I love experiencing other local coffee businesses.
Yes, and I've definitely noticed that about you. Like you're a master collaborator when it comes to supporting other businesses around you, even if they may be doing the same thing as you. But
Hmm.
I do want to spotlight some of our comments. We have Stephanie who's watching. She said Hollywood, big baby. And
That's
then
so
we have
cool.
Lexi. She said fresh coffee is the best coffee. And that is so true because I think that's why I switched to the Keurig because like you, I was always making like the pot and I only drank
Hmm.
like one cup sat
Somebody
there.
drink this coffee. I
Yeah,
mean,
like somebody come drink this darn coffee or I'm just gonna have to pour it down the sink. So yes, fresh is definitely best. And then Daryl Hardy said, "Good evening, sir."
good evening. How's it going, everybody?
And Stephanie says, I don't even drink coffee, but I drink Hollywood's Cup of Sunshine because it's not just coffee.
There you go.
First
Love
of
you,
all,
Steph.
Stephanie, though, I have to rethink our friendship because how do you not drink coffee?
I have some friends too that you know it's like you know,
Like,
but
what
you know
is
I've
going on?
converted some people, and
I
that's
think,
always fun.
well, she must, maybe she's on the verge of conversion. We'll have to see because I don't know. That makes me wonder about some things. But I want to talk about your pour over process because honestly, we know there are coffee baristas and coffee shops and coffee trucks all over Fayetteville and everywhere you go. But honestly, Hollywood Java was my first experience in seeing the whole pour over technique. So tell us a little bit about how that makes it different from a regular technique.
um, so and pretty much everybody I know that does pour over, they do it just like I do because to do it any other way is kind of doing it a disservice, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So first, you start off with some good water. You know, I mean, if
Mm,
you have to use tap water because that's what you have at the house, there's nothing wrong with it. That's where I started. You know, but you know, eventually I transitioned to like filtered or purified water, and it does make a difference. Some people will say it makes an extreme difference, and it can. You know, the next thing would be like Lexi said, fresh coffee, and that's something that is you know because people ask us all the time, like, wow, you know what makes your coffee taste so good, and that's one of the first things that I tell people is anytime I do an event. Whether it's a public event or private event, I always make sure that we're using fresh coffee. And by fresh coffee, I mean no more than a week to 2 weeks old. Um, because the coffee that you will buy in the stores, um, unless it's whole bean, and in some cases that can still be old, that coffee is sat on the shelf for months, you
yeah.
know,
So do
three
you
months, six
grind yours?
months. Say again.
Do you grind yours? Are you starting from a whole bean and then grinding it down?
Right. So I'll take the whole beans. They're freshly roasted the week of the event that I typically do. And I don't, I only grind as I make it. I've
Nice.
seen some places they'll pre-grind it for efficiency, and that's understandable. But I refuse to do that because, believe it or not, pre-grinding your coffee, it's gonna affect the taste and the quality of your coffee.
Because you lose some of that freshness.
Right, because a lot of people don't realize like the beans, the seed is was a seed. The coffee beans are still living, even though they've been roasted. As long as they've not been like super dark roasted, they still have like gas in them. That's the aroma that when you smell a bag, it's just like the beans giving off their aroma. So that's gases. So, as you grind it down, it's kind of like you're taking it down to another level. So, if you pre-grind it and just let it sit there, it's gonna start kind of degassing, and you might even hear some baristas say the word degas. I can't get too technical or scientific because my knowledge is limited as far as that goes. But I pick up things along the way, and more importantly, like I see exactly what people mean when they start speaking the jargon. I see it firsthand as I'm making coffee.
Yeah, but the thing I love about you say your knowledge is limited, but your skill set is not. And your cup of coffee proves that completely. And then Keith just jumped on and he reminded me about your organic iced tea.
Yes, that's something new that we
You guys added that on.
Yeah. I don't think you've had it yet. You have to
No,
check it
I
out.
have not. And now I'm like kind of jealous because other people have. And it's been far too long since I've even had a cup of Hollywood Java. So I'm going to have to make that, fix that really soon.
Well, I mean, you can't be everywhere. I mean, I know you got places to be. You got to clone yourself.
I need to. Sometimes I wish I could. Stephanie says, I love tea and that's close to coffee. Actually, no. The only thing they have in common is I'm so sorry. I love you, but they are not close. And I have recently started drinking a lot of tea, but it's still not the same. I still need that cup of Java every once in a while. Right. Keith says, Steph, you have got to taste the tangerine and white tea. Oh my goodness, that sounds delicious.
He said, oh my goodness, yeah.
Like I'm reading it and then I'm like, wait, I want some. But speaking of which, like I said, it's been too long since I've had my cup of Hollywood Java, but it may not have to be much longer because you guys have expanded. Yes. And yes, people, it is possible to expand a pop-up coffee cup brew because drum roll, what have you guys added to the mix of Hollywood Java? Let everybody know.
So we added, we call it a mobile coffee bar. And we don't have a name for it yet. I call it the Coffee Lab, but I actually want a name for it. So we're going to, I want to do a contest. So this is like exclusive. I haven't even mentioned it yet.
Oh, wait, now we got an exclusive.
We got an exclusive on what is it called? Adapt and adjust or adjust and adapt.
Adjust and adapt.
Exclusive. So I want to do a giveaway, a contest to see who can name our trailer. And I'm gonna give some parameters as far as what we want the trailer's name to be. Okay. I believe in naming my vehicles and my equipment.
Same. So, all my cars have names.
Yes. My truck's name is Taco because it's a Tacoma. That's really original and simple. I'm sure everybody's.
So you want to hear how original mine is? My truck's name is Ebony because she's black, like the black truck. So I didn't go that far either.
I love it. It works. But yeah, so we have a mobile coffee bar now, which is it's a black trailer. It's a 7x12. And it's only because of our I was gonna say our fans, our customers, because we did a crowdfunding campaign. I think was it last year? Yeah, I think it was last year. Time flies. It's hard to even keep track of the time, but we did a crowdfunding campaign and raised just enough money to be able to get the trailer. We added to the campaign a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I'm always big on wanting to just express my gratitude for everybody supporting that, because it's because people gave, everybody in the comments gave, people that's in the comments were a part of making this possible. So it's almost like saying it's you guys' trailer, because you guys invested in it and put money into it. And so it's interesting because, with coffee, just like a lot of other things, it's an expensive hobby. And so we still don't have an espresso machine, but I opted for the trailer as over the espresso machine because I felt like, well, I could still serve coffee.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I want to give everybody a glimpse at the amazing decal work that you have on
Oh,
there.
look at you pulling it up. Pull it
Look at
up.
me pulling it up. So I love the decals and the customizing on it. Like, first of all, your logo has always had my heart, but once you went black on black, it was like a whole nother level.
Yeah, yeah, that was always the plan too. Shout out to Elisa Buchanan for that. She's always kind of like, elusive. Nobody ever sees her or hears from her, but I'm always plugging her,
Yes, I now
Um,
officially follow her, and I will be reaching out probably and recommending her because it looks awesome.
yeah, I went to her with a totally different idea, and she's like, "What do you think about this?" So I said, I really like that because it's classic, it's classy, and I'm a minimalist, and so even with the design of the trailer and everything, I wanted to be very minimal. I talked to a few people, and they said, "Oh, you could put, a coffee cup with steam coming out of it and this and that." I'm like, that's not even my personality. I don't want my truck to look like a, circus show going down the street.
No, you don't need it.
For some people that's okay. I'm not selling ice cream or anything like that. So, I wanted it to make a statement, to be very minimal. It
I think
really
that's a
looks
very
like a billboard going down the street.
yeah, I know, but I think it has a very classic understated style to it, and it has a little bit of swag too, so it's very Hollywood. So I love the new truck design, and I can't wait to see it in person. We have Stephanie. She said, my gosh, that sounds good. Look, they are an awesome addition to your events. Yes, because we want to let people know they can hire Hollywood Java to come out to their events, right?
Yep, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, that's one of my favorite things to do is private events. We've been hired by Stephanie and other people to do like what we call a host bar setup, where they'll literally buy everybody's drinks. So when their guests come, they don't have to pull out any money unless they want to give us a tip or something. And they can just kind of like, drink, as much as they want, and experience Hollywood without any cost to them. So it's always a great time. And one thing I learned was from the pop up, we learned is one of the products that we serve that we didn't realize was a commodity was community. And
Mm-hmm.
so we see how when we used to set up our tables and we set up everything, everybody just kind of congregate around a cup of coffee. We talk about coffee, we talk about life, and it's just a really added, value to your party, your event, or whatever you're doing. We've even saved the day in some cases where the caterers may have been late, so there was no food, so we kept people satiated with coffee and tea.
But I love that, and I think that is key, because if anybody knows me, I always preach the point that part of your branding is selling who you are as well, and people
Right.
build that loyalty to the owner even before they build the loyalty to the product. And I think you, as well as Patrice, if you guys do not know Dr. Patrice Carter, she is his better half, and not just better, but his other half. And she is obviously the fuel behind a lot of what you do, but she is also a part of the Hollywood Java branding. And you guys have done such an amazing job in building that community. And I think one of the parts I love most is when you go live, when you're at an event like Dirtbag, and it's just like a vibe, like being live with Hollywood Java, there's jazz music playing in the background. We get to see you with the wooden glasses, and you're just like chatting with people and having a conversation and pouring that brew, and it's just an experience. And I think that's part of what makes Hollywood Java more than just an average cup of coffee. It's the experience that comes along with it.
Absolutely. And just want to put the plug out there. We do have a playlist that we set up on Spotify. I think it's called Hollywood Java Grooves.
What?
And
I think
yeah,
I think you told me that before, and I probably haven't, because I think I asked.
yeah,
I was like, I think I need this music.
yeah. And I constantly, sometimes I'll take some songs out. I'm constantly adding to and taking away from it just to kind of,
Keep it fresh.
make it, yeah, keep it fresh, and that way, like, so it's the playlist that I play whenever I'm on site or I go live. And so then, like, if you're not with us, it gives you a chance to still kind of, get the vibes, as you call
Mhm.
it, even when you're not, with Hollywood Java. So you can always kind of, it's not our music. I can't claim it, but I mean, it's
But it's your
curated by
for
us,
that still makes the difference. It's your mix. And Stephanie says she was still waiting on her t-shirt, which I think I need to order. So I need to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
the link so I can get me a black on black Hollywood Java shirt. And then she was asking Keith if he got his, and Keith says yes, he did. So I can already tell we're going to see some Hollywood Java t-shirts walking around town soon, which is a good thing.
I hope so. And with the black on black, it's something we wanted to do, kind of like a limited edition.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, once we cut it off, whenever we see that black on black Hollywood shirt, it's like we know that these are, the special people, the VIPs, if you will.
Oh, now see, I definitely have to get a shirt now. Counted in a number. I don't want to be
Right.
left out.
There you go. And we got some other t-shirts with our colored logo and everything too.
Yeah,
So we'll just, we'll have some more swag that we'll be putting out there too.
that's awesome. And we were talking about your pop-up event. So I want to talk about some of your collaborations. I know when I went to Dirtbags and one day you guys weren't there, I was like, oh my God, where's Hollywood Java? So tell us about a few of your collaborations outside, like Dirtbag, and then who else? Where else can they find you?
So right now we're doing Sustainable Sand Hills Farmers Market at Carolina Lakes. Only thing about that's only for the Carolina Lakes residents. But I mean, if you're listening and you live out there, if you haven't been out there, come see us. That's on Fridays, first and third, fifth Fridays, and then the let's see, Cape Fear Botanical Garden will be there whenever they have their farmers market. Trying to think if there's anywhere else. I know there's a third place. I just can't think of it.
Besides Dirtbag? Are you still
Yeah.
pulling up at Dirtbag?
Oh, Dirtbag is the third place. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I just.
Wait. I know you was at Dirtbag for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. And we're still at Dirtbag. We've literally only set up there one time this year. But we'll be there this weekend, Sunday.
Awesome.
Yeah. Not tomorrow, but next Sunday, the 5th.
And Stephanie is saying, oh, shoot, Tiff, we got to get ours. I know me and you seem to be left out of the t-shirt group. So we have to jump on that and get our t-shirts sooner rather than later.
There you go.
I know. But so those are your collaborations. But this is not where he stops, people. Dalton has not left it at Hollywood Java. He has added yet another venture to his list of accomplishments. And it is his brand new blog.
Yes, I'm excited about that.
I'm super excited about that because you've been talking about this blog for a minute.
I'm telling you.
I saw the name change over on Instagram. I was like, yes, here we go.
I was hoping I'd make you proud.
Yes, you definitely did. So tell us a bit about Film, Sip, Repeat.
Okay, so Film, Sip, and Eat. So
look at me giving you a whole other name.
It's Film, Sip, Eat, and then Repeat. I have a t-shirt that says that.
Okay.
So Film, Sip, and Eat is like, I think you had alluded to something earlier. I think now, I've always been kind of like a Renaissance man, but I think now most people do more than one thing. Whereas before, people would kind of would frown on it or say like that person's all over the place. I think now, you're an anomaly if all you do is one thing. And that's not a bad thing. If all you do is one thing, it's totally fine. But I just learned, and maybe it's just part of getting older. It's just like sometimes, you want more out of life. Mm-hmm. And when you learn a lot of things and you can do a lot of things, it could be a challenge to do everything. Mm-hmm. To put this hat on, take it off, and put that on. So Film, Sip, and Eat, it represents something for me because, like, for me, being a photographer, it started out as a job, and that's all it's ever been for me, is a job. Then it turned into a business. So either way, it went from being a job to business. And it was always me taking pictures for money. And in most cases, it would be something that the client wants, but not necessarily something I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in some cases, it reflected that, if you're not passionate about what you're doing or even enjoying it, it can show up in your work, regardless of
Mm-hmm.
what that is. And
For
so
sure.
I got to the point where, but the thing about it, I always loved photography, and I didn't. There's been many times I just said I want to quit because I was tired of the business aspect of it. Um, but I never wanted to give up photography. It's something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But so Film Sip and Eat kind of represents something for me because I never knew what I wanted to do, what I wanted to take pictures of. I didn't even know what that looked like. I tried certain things. I'm like, that's not for me. But one thing I really enjoyed was, like you, eating at you know, local shops, local
Stop
coffee
telling everybody
shops.
how much I like to eat. Don't.
Oh man. I don't have to tell them. I mean, they can look on your thing. I was looking at you this like I just went off way off subject, but I was looking at your post. I was like, wow, look at that food. But nice looking picnic spread. But I almost forgot what I was gonna say. But I wanted to, take pictures of, food, and even from there it grew into kind of storytelling because I wanted to tell, if I ate something amazing in some little small town that nobody knows about, I wanted people to know about it. I wanted people to come there, meet the chef, order the same dish.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of became like storytelling for me because it's like, so even taking the pictures was fun, but I really got more into like writing the captions like on
Yeah.
Instagram and telling people about the food, what's in it, how it made me feel and whatnot. So it kind of is something that I kind of discovered that I really like doing. And it was twofold because I enjoyed it, and it tells a story. Being a documentary filmmaker, that's what I do, is tell people stories. That's what I love. So it kind of fit because again, if it's somebody that's really nice, something that I believe in, I want everybody to know about it. That's the other part about it. It helps that other person out too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, it wasn't anything I wanted to do for money or anything. Now, if somebody wanted to give me some free products or free food, I'll take it, in exchange for a post. I'm about all about that. And so, so you got the filming aspect, with the coffee, again, me being loving local coffee shops and specifically seeking local shops out on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
My friends, I've become that coffee snob. So when I'm out of town with somebody, like, oh, here we go. I can't just go to a Starbucks or
Like,
a
don't drop
Dunkin'
me like
Donut.
or somebody. You gotta take me
I'm
somewhere
like, ah,
special.
man. So they like, where we having coffee at? So I better get it right too, because I give them a lot of grief. So,
So,
you
do you
know.
plan out ahead of time, or do you just discover along the way?
Most of the time, believe it or not, if I know I'm going to a specific city or town,
Uh-huh.
I'm looking to see, okay, if it's for work, where am I going to be working? If it's for pleasure, where am I going to be staying? And
Mm-hmm.
within that vicinity, how close is the closest, you know, third wave coffee shop or something close to that?
Okay.
So yeah, there's something I pre-plan 90% of the time. People don't realize that.
That's awesome. And going into that, like, this is the first perfect segue. You keep talking about these coffee tours, and I already told you, like, I'm signed up. Put me on a list.
Yeah.
I will bring my own little booster seat to sit in the back of the car because I'm ready to go.
Booster. That is so funny.
So, but tell us how that is going to start happening because I'm counting down the days. I need it to happen because I'm
Well,
ready to go find some of these spots that you've been sharing.
I'm gonna be honest. I speaking of adjusting and adapting, I need to figure that out because COVID-19 really put a damper on that because it's the coffee tour is gonna be a literal, tour where people will physically
Yeah.
come and meet me. And I'm, being like a coffee ambassador, you know, if I know the people, I introduce them, depending on where it is. I'll try to set up a time where, like, you might be able to talk to one of the professionals there, or actually get a physical tour of the
Mhm.
facility. In some cases, it might be somewhere that is tour worthy.
Okay.
Like my roastery, for example, that'll be one of the first stops on the list. Um, and it's definitely a good place to go to kind of learn things. Um, and I'm sure you'll learn a lot about coffee that you didn't know just from
Mhm.
talking to them. So that's one of the places. There'll be some places along the way that I may not have been to,
So
just
we
to
can
kind of.
it along
But
with
yeah,
you.
we could experience it together. There's been a lot of places that people have told me like, "Oh, you got to try this place," or I'm always kind of looking. I follow a lot of coffee people. A lot of coffee people follow me, and we kind of comment back and forth about coffee and coffee shops. So I'm always kind of retaining that knowledge. Like I'll literally save a post, based on somewhere like I need to try out.
Mhm.
Um, and I like different coffee shops for different reasons. It may not even be for the coffee. It may be for a pastry. It may be for you know a person I met there. It may be the atmosphere, you
That's what
know.
I was gonna say. Sometimes it's just the place itself.
hmm Yeah, and I want to be able to tell people that too, and even on this journey, I don't want to, I had to think about it. Do I want to be one of those bloggers that's like, oh, I give this a thumbs up, or I give this a thumbs down? And honestly, um, there's a guy I follow, and I've read some of his books. Nick Irving, I think it's official Reaper is his tag. He has a kind of like a mantra. He says positive vibes only. And I
Mhm.
and I can only imagine what that means, because anybody that's on social media, you say one thing, everybody wants to argue with you about it. And so I love that he always, every single post, it always has hashtag positive vibe only. And I
Mhm.
see like people will try to say whatever to him. He's just like, he doesn't argue with them. And I love that, because if you're a blogger and you're just doing what you do, somebody's gonna always have an opinion about it.
Mhm.
But I mean, so for me, like, I didn't want to be a critic. You know, I didn't want to be like, oh, the food was horrible here.
No.
So if I had a bad experience, I'm just not gonna say anything about it.
Now, that's something you and I have in common. I think I shared that with you before. If I
Yeah,
go somewhere and it's not good, I just go radio silent, because I'd rather
right.
not use my influence, because as a blogger, that's exactly what it is. It's your influence. And I'd rather not
Right.
use that influence to harm any small
Yeah.
business owner or anybody trying to seek after, because everybody has a bad day. And that's the way I
Right.
look at it. Maybe I went in on a bad day. So
Right.
a lot of times it's come to a point now where people, I think, notice that about me.
hmm
And I think I told you that too. Like, if I go somewhere and I don't say anything about it, they'll reach out to me and be like, "What happened?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Ask no questions, I tell you no lies.
yeah, I agree with you on that point. I don't think we should take that influence and necessarily use it against somebody, because that's not what we're here for. Or at least that's not what I'm here for in my role as a blogger. And I love
Right.
that you've taken on that same approach, because
Yeah.
it is so easy to do damage to someone, but it's so much better to uplift them and to help them
Right.
grow and
Right.
encourage them. And I
Yeah.
really think that that's more of the rarity that you find, those who uplift and just say the positive things. And I'm not saying like I lie about anything. I just don't
Right.
say anything at all. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah.
you on that point for sure.
And I think there's a difference between a critic and a blogger. I think both are necessary in what they do. Even like a true food critic, even a negative review could help, in a sense of, like, if this person is somebody that's reputable, if
Mm-hmm.
he or she is saying this about a dish or whatever, that that chef or that cook or person can adjust it, and but if it's just me saying, I'm just a customer, like, I don't even cook, so it's like, like, are you really going to take my critique about it
Yeah,
to heart? Is it going to be constructive? So
exactly. Is it going to help you grow or change, or is it just going to do harm? And that's the
right.
difference, I think, for sure. But
Yeah.
So we've talked about Hollywood Java. We've talked about Film Sip Repeat. And then I want
to eat.
why do I keep saying repeat? Oh my goodness. You would think since I'm always hungry, I would get
That's what you do afterwards.
good. But I want to touch on your advice for your fellow entrepreneurs. Like, what one piece of advice would you give to another entrepreneur?
Oh, wow. That's heavy. Because I mean, my mind just kind of shot all over the place. I think, you know, since we're talking about adapting, you know, the word pivot it's the, you know, was it Sesame Street had the word of the day? Pivot is the word of the year for businesses.
Yes, 2020 equals pivot.
Yeah. So I mean, if you don't know how or you refuse to, you need to learn, you need to do it, because I mean, I've had to do it, you know. And as a matter of fact, because I was thinking of like, what am I gonna say? Do I write it down? Like, nah, I want to be off the cuff. But one thing in particular I've noticed is last year's business is not this year's business.
Mm-hmm.
And last week's business is not this week's business.
Mm-hmm.
It's so volatile and fluid and dynamic. It's that dynamic. What I did last week and was successful at, it may not be that way this week, you know.
Exactly.
And in my line of work, it is very dependent on what people want to do. Do people feel like, you know, coming out and spending money today? No, they don't. So guess what? I'm not going to do that well today, you know. So, but then, you know, if I get comfortable in that, and when I show up and everybody's ready to give me all their money and I'm not ready, I lose money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been harder this year to adjust, not only because of the pandemic, but because the trailer is almost like starting from square one again. Mm-hmm. Even though it's not the pop-up. It's totally not the pop-up. There's so many more things I have to worry about. There's some things that's easier. Some things are harder, but so it's really pivoting and being flexible is the key. For me, I can be very neurotic and emotional about my business. So I'm learning to try to take my emotions out of things when they don't go well. So, and that's helping me a little bit.
Well, that's good. And I agree with you for sure. I think being an entrepreneur is all about being able to evolve as your situations evolve, as your audience and your followers and your customers and your clients evolve. Like, you have to be willing to change, because those businesses who just stick to whatever it was they thought of the first time probably aren't going to go much farther than wherever they were when they began. So that's seriously awesome advice. And I want to give you space to let anybody know about anything you have coming up, how they can find and follow you. I have been scrolling your Facebook pages as well as your Instagrams as we've been talking, but you go ahead and tell them what you want to do.
Okay, so again, so twofold. You can follow my blog at Film Sip and Eat. FilmSipEat.com is the website. Film Sip Eat is my Instagram handle, as well as Facebook, I think. And then Hollywood is Hollywood Java NC, like North Carolina. That's everything: Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As far as my next engagement, let's see, Friday I'll be at Carolina Lakes. I think we'll be at the marina, but I heard different. Either way, we'll be at Carolina Lakes Farmers Market. Sunday I'll be at Dirtbag Ales, old stomping grounds. So after that, I'm not sure where I'll be. So that's next week.
So tell people how they can get your truck if they want you to come do something just for them.
Oh yeah. So the best way to book us is just to find us on Facebook. You can actually, I think, matter of fact, I forgot, Instagram has the booking feature. You could book us by clicking the booking button on Instagram or Facebook, or you could just email us at hollywoodjavanc@gmail.com. Let us know what you have going on, and we'll see if we can accommodate you.
And then I definitely want to send people towards this swag you have happening.
Oh, look at you.
So don't forget, you guys can get this limited edition black on black. I am placing my order immediately.
There you go.
And then you can get the old, I'm gonna call it the OG version of the logo.
Yeah.
In either a t-shirt, a mug. Ooh, I think I need the mug too. Or a long sleeve tee. And we definitely want to send people over there because that is a way for people to spread the word about what Hollywood Java is doing, where you're going, and exactly who you are. And just like Stephanie just said, she is so proud of you, Dalton.
I'm so proud. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm so proud of you as well. Like, I'm just like in awe of the growth and the path that you've taken. And I just know there's great things ahead. And I can't wait to get my next cup of coffee. And then I can't wait to get my cup of tea, because apparently that's something I need to try. And then she's placing her order right now so she can be in the VIP hunty. I don't know if I said that like her, but that's how I heard it in my head.
I love it.
We definitely need to be a part of that VIP crowd. And I know the next time I see Hollywood Java, I'm going to try to make sure I'm sporting my black on black Hollywood Java t-shirt too.
So I can get take selfies. Yes. We love selfies.
So we can get those selfies going. But Dalton, thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. I'm super excited to see everything that's happening with you guys. Everybody who's watching, you can share this video across your feeds so that your friends and family can get to know Mr. Hollywood himself, the man behind Hollywood Java, and everything that he has coming up. But until then, I will see you guys next week. And I'm going to tell you right now, well, actually, no, we're taking a break for July 4th because, yeah, nobody really wanted to hang out. Oh, wait, I'm lying. This is me trying to work.
Got activated.
I'm actually going to have Shahara of New Era LLC on with me next week. She's joining me at 9 in the morning. And that is, again, Shahara. She's from New Era LLC. She has a credit repair company, plus so much more. This girl is businesswoman times 10. And trust me, you want to get a chance to talk with her, to see her, and to chat with her. Thanks, Keith. He's saying great talk. Thank you, everybody who tuned in today and watched. I'm so excited for you guys to be here, and I appreciate each and every single one of you. And I will see you all next week.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Say bye.
Bye-bye.